Thank you, Ms. Turnbull. Next, we're going to have Ms. Margot Dorfman, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the United States Women's Chamber of Commerce.
Chairwoman Velasquez, Chairman Frank, Ranking Members Graves and Bacchus, and members of the committees, I thank you for this opportunity to be here today. I am representing today the 500,000 members of the U.S. Women's Chamber of Commerce. Simply stated, the status of the small business lending is so devastatingly poor that many business owners have given up even trying to secure capital and credit for their businesses. Our members tell us, regardless of their personal credit scores, proven business and financial track records, and contracts in hand, their access to capital and credit has become severely limited, and the fees and interest rates on their existing loans have risen to loan shark levels. The consequences of this sudden and now extended contraction in access to capital and credit have had a devastating effect on small businesses. Over the last 2 years, small business losses accounted for 40% of the 4.7 million positions cut by firms. The results of a recent survey of our members have provided us with a clear picture of the small business lending marketplace. The smallest businesses have either been wiped out or are struggling every day to stay in business. Businesses in the 250 to 500,000 range have weathered the storm so far and are seeking access to capital to fuel growth. Firms in this range tell us they could grow now and add jobs if they could only access the capital and credit they needed. Many of the businesses in the $500,000 to $1 million range have significant overhead, equipment, and raw materials that make growth right now very challenging. And with little or no access to capital, they have no way to leverage their assets to fuel growth. And firms with over $1 million in revenues have a more diversified set of capital and credit providers, but they tell us they have very little appetite for growth due to the exorbitant fees, interest rates, and uncertainty. Nearly all businesses tell us that consumer confidence is extremely poor and that increased consumer confidence would fuel their business growth. They also tell us it is important to complete the reform of our healthcare system and financial market regulations and create a strong consumer financial protection agency so that they will have a clear picture of the future and can plan with confidence. U.S. banks report the sharpest decline in lending since 1942, and another troubling trend is the extreme contraction in the SBA-backed lending to women and minority-owned firms. Between 2008 and 2009, the percentage of SBA-backed loans going to women-owned firms dropped from 23 to 20%, and the total dollars lent dropped from 18 to 6%. During the same period of time, the percentage of SBA-backed loans going to minority-owned firms dropped from 33 to 22%, and the total dollars lent dropped from 32 to only 4%. The job creation legislation recently passed in the Senate falls woefully short in addressing the size and scope of our problems. The recent FDIC comments on meeting the credit needs of creditworthy small businesses do nothing to change the basic problem. And the President's proposal to distribute $30 billion of TARP funds to local and community banks is simply more of the same. Clearly, this action would once again benefit the banks with no guarantees of assistance to small business owners. Treasury Secretary Geithner has said these funds should be removed from the TARP program. He says, TARP has outlived its basic usefulness because banks are worried about the stigma of coming to TARP and they're frankly worried about the conditions. Additionally, he said 600 small banks withdrew their applications for TARP money because they did not want to face the restrictions or the perception that they needed the bailout money. Specifically, we recommend increase SBA lending guarantees to 90%, focus on two sectors with the greatest urgent need, loans under $200,000 and loans in the $200,000 to $500,000 range, establish a direct lending program through the SBA allowing the sale back of loans to private sector investors and lenders after a period of time. We strongly encourage Congress to respond with larger scale solutions to improve the opportunity to businesses to secure capital and credit, help stabilize its cost, help small businesses to convert expensive debt into fixed term loans, and help small business owners to assess their current financial condition to make good choices for the future. Strength, transparency, access to capital, and protection from abuse are vitally important so that our economy may be revitalized, our small businesses brought back to life, and jobs created. Thank you.